From the headquarters of the American Radio Relay League in Newington, Connecticut, this is ARRL Audio News for Friday, January 13th, 2017. This program is produced by the ARRL, the National Association for Amateur Radio, and features news highlights compiled from the ARRL letter, found on the web at arrl.org. I'm Sean Kutzko, KX9X.
And I'm your co-host, Carla Pereira.
In this week's report, ARRL files a complaint with the FCC asserting that illegal drone transmitters could interfere with air traffic control.
Nevada ARRLs stand down as the flood threat abates from the Pineapple Express weather system.
And the Radio Club of America announces a new Wireless Woman section on the RCA website.
Those stories and others, plus Bruce Page, KK5DO, with this week's satellite update, all coming up now.
Hi, I'm ARRL member Phil Temples, K9HI, of Watertown, Massachusetts, and you're listening to ARRL Audio News.
In what it calls an extremely urgent complaint to the FCC, ARRL has targeted the interference potential of a series of audio-video transmitters used on unmanned aircraft and marketed as amateur radio equipment. In a January 10th letter to the FCC Spectrum Enforcement Division, ARRL General Counsel Chris Imlay, W3KD, said the transmitters use frequencies intended for navigational aids, air traffic control radar, air route surveillance radars, and global positioning systems. ARRL's complaint said some of the transmitters operate on frequencies between 1010 and 1280 megahertz. These video transmitters are being marketed ostensibly as amateur radio equipment, the league said, but of the listed frequencies on which the devices operate, only one, 1280 megahertz, would be within the amateur radio allocation. ARRL said the use of 1040 and 1080 megahertz, which would directly conflict with air traffic control transponder frequencies, represented the greatest threat to the safety of flight. ARRL cited the Lawmate transmitter and companion 6-watt amplifier as examples of problematic devices being marketed in the U.S. Each costs less than $100 via the internet. The device carries no FCC identification number. The target market for these devices is the drone hobbyist, not licensed radio amateurs. The device, due to the channel configuration, has no valid amateur radio application, ARRL told the FCC. The league said it's obvious that the devices at issue lack proper FCC equipment authorization under FCC Part 15 rules, which require such low-power intentional radiators to be certified. Of most concern is the capacity of the devices to cripple the operation of the air traffic control secondary target transponder systems, ARRL said. These illegal transmitters represent a significant hazard to the public safety in general and the safety of flight specifically. More information on the ARRL complaint to the FCC, as well as a full copy of the report by the ARRL laboratory, is available on the ARRL website.
Amateur Radio Emergency Service, or ARRLs, volunteers and emergency operations centers in Nevada stood down this week as the threat of additional widespread flooding damage diminished. Over the weekend, ARRLs members in Nevada stood ready to support the disaster response effort. Recent heavy rainfall, sparked by a weather system called the Pineapple Express, caused flooding along rivers and forced evacuations in some areas of Nevada and neighboring California. The flooding prompted Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval to declare a state of emergency. In Reno, the Truckee River crested above 12 feet on January 9th and at 19.5 feet in Sparks. Because forecasters were able to detect and predict the magnitude of the storm well in advance, the Reno area had time to prepare, and sandbagging and other operations were in full force last Friday. County EOC, such as the Regional Emergency Operations Center, or REOC, which serves as a joint facility for the Washoe County and the cities of Reno and Sparks, began activating early on Friday morning. ARRLs volunteers took up positions at the REOC, as well as in Story, Lyon, and Douglas counties. Under the direction of Section Emergency Coordinator Glenn Hale, KB7 REO, ARRLs volunteers in the rest of Nevada's counties began monitoring emergency activations on HF, Echolink, IRLP, and DMR. Shelters were opened in 2 Reno high schools, and voluntary evacuations were begun. A statewide ARRLs resource net supported the response, with 60 meters and WindLink added to the toolbox.
The FCC has turned down 2 petitions filed in 2016, each seeking similar changes in the Part 97 amateur service rules. James Edwin Wedby, N0ECN of Gladstone, Missouri, had asked the Commission to amend the rules to reduce the number of amateur radio operator classes to Technician, General, and Amateur Extra by merging remaining Novice class licensees into the Technician class and all Advanced class licensees into the Amateur Extra class. In a somewhat related petition, Jeffrey H. Siegel, WB2YRL of Burke, Virginia, had requested that the FCC grant Advanced class license holders Morse code operating privileges equivalent to those enjoyed by amateur extra class licensees. The FCC streamlined the amateur radio licensing system into 3 classes, Technician, General, and Amateur Extra, in 1999. While it no longer issues new novice or advanced class licenses, existing licenses can be renewed, and novice and advanced licensees retained their original operating privileges. The Commission concluded that the 3-class structure would streamline the licensing process while still providing an incentive for licensees to advance their communication and technical skills, the FCC recounted in its dismissal letter to Wedby and Siegel.
Online, via podcast, and on repeaters throughout North America, you're listening to ARRL Audio News.
Now with this week's satellite update, here's Bruce Page, KK5DO.
The launch date for RAD-FXSat or Fox 1B has been moved to August 29th of this year, riding as secondary payloads aboard the Joint Polar Satellite System or the JPSS-1 mission. JPSS-1 will launch on a Delta II from Vandenberg Air Force Base, California. RAD-FXSat is a partnership with Vanderbilt University ISDE and hosts 4 payloads for the study of radiation effects on commercial off-the-shelf components. RAD-FXSat features the Fox 1 style FM UV repeater with an uplink on 435.250 MHz and a downlink on 145.960 MHz. Satellite and experiment telemetry will be downloaded via the DUV subaudible telemetry stream and can be decoded with the Fox Telem software. RAD-FXSat construction and testing was completed in the 4th quarter of 2016, and the CubeSat is currently in clean storage at Fox Labs, waiting for delivery and integration, which is now scheduled for June of this year. Thanks to Jerry Buxton, N0JY, AMSAT Vice President of Engineering. This is Bruce Page, KK5DO, for the ARRL Audio News.
If you're feeling a chill in the air, it must be time for the January VHF contest. This annual event begins at 1900 UTC on Saturday, January 21st, and it wraps up at 0359 UTC on Monday, January 23rd. The objective is for amateurs in the U.S. and Canada to work as many stations in as many different Maidenhead grid squares as possible, using frequencies above 50 megahertz, often while trying to stay warm. Contest contacts may be made using SSB, CW, digital modes, and even FM simplex. The January VHF contest offers single operator and multi-operator categories. What's really cool about this contest are the 3 single operator categories, inviting to newcomers and seasoned VHFers alike: FM only, 3-band, and portable. The rules spell out the details for these, as well as for the other single-operator, rover, and multi-operator entry categories. We've seen some very strong numbers of participants and healthy scores recently in the FM-only category, said ARRL Contest Branch Manager Bart Yankee, W9JJ. The number of portable and rover stations and their accomplishments has been amazing, even in the January event. Complete rules and log submission information is on the ARRL website.
The ASME Foundation has announced Excellence Awards to 2 individuals and supporting grants to 6 organizations. The ASME Excellence Award honors individuals who have made significant contributions to amateur radio in terms of technical, operating, or organizational achievement. Recipients are Pekka Katonen, OH1TV, in recognition of his many innovations, such as the opposite voltage feed concept for amateur radio antennas, and for documenting his work in English to make it more widely available. Hani Raad, OD5TE, in recognition for his work in advancing amateur radio in Lebanon and the Arab world, and his efforts to reintroduce amateur radio examinations in Lebanon. The ASME Foundation supporting grants recognize furtherance of the Foundation's goal of supporting the development of amateur radio. Among the organizations receiving grants, Radio Club de Haiti for acquiring radios for use in emergency communications, the Mongolian Radio Sport Federation for acquiring laptop computers for use in the Federation's high-speed telegraphy competition, and the Lighthouse for the Blind and Visually Impaired to acquire amateur radio equipment for the station at its new headquarters in San Francisco, California. Complete information on the ASME Awards and grants is available online at yasme.org.
Long-delayed echoes is the topic of the latest episode of the ARRL The Doctor Is In podcast. Listen and learn. Sponsored by DX Engineering, ARRL The Doctor Is In is an informative discussion of all things technical. Listen on your computer, tablet, or smartphone whenever and wherever you like. Every 2 weeks, your host, QST Editor-in-Chief Steve Ford, WB8IMY, and the doctor himself, Joel Hallis, W1ZR, will discuss a broad range of technical topics. You can also email your questions to doctor@arrl.org, and the doctor may answer them in a future podcast. Enjoy ARRL The Doctor Is In on Apple iTunes or by using your iPhone or iPad podcast app. You can also listen online at Blueberry and through the free Stitcher app for iOS, Kindle, or Android devices.
Hi, I'm ARRL member Mark Aker, K6UFO of San Francisco, California, and you're listening to ARRL Audio News.
Tuesday, January 31st is the deadline for completed ARRL Foundation scholarship applications from eligible radio amateurs pursuing post-secondary education in the 2017-2018 academic year. Individuals and clubs support many of the more than 80 scholarships that the ARRL Foundation manages, with awards ranging from $500 to $5,000. Applicants for all scholarships must be active radio amateurs and must complete and submit the online application. Students applying for 2017-2018 academic year awards should review the eligibility requirements and scholarship descriptions on the ARRL Foundation website.
And finally, in an effort to encourage more participation of women and girls in the wireless industry, the Radio Club of America, or RCA, has created a new Wireless Women section on its website, designed to assist women considering careers in wireless and encouraging them to get involved in technology. Information includes resources such as Notable Women in Wireless, RCA's Vivian Carr Award, and professional wireless organizations for women, as well as web resources for women and girls interested in wireless. There's also a list of universities that have an engineering focus and significant enrollment by women. RCA has a long history of recognizing the achievements of women in wireless, RCA President Tim Duffy, K3LR, said. 3 former RCA presidents are women, and we have many female officers, directors, and committee members. We created the Vivian Carr Award in 2014 to recognize women who have contributed significantly to the wireless industry, and Director Carol Perry, WB2MGP, has led RCA's effort to educate youth about wireless for decades. Duffy welcomes additional ideas or input from the wireless community to help the site be more useful.
And that concludes ARRL Audio News for this week. Our thanks to all contributors to this week's report. ARRL Audio News is produced by the American Radio Relay League, the National Association for Amateur Radio. For more information on amateur radio or the ARRL, visit us on the web at arrl.org. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by searching for ARRL. If you have a question or comment about audio news, email us at audionews@arrl.org. This program is copyright 2017 ARRL. All rights reserved. Until next week, I'm Sean Kutzko, KX9X.
And I'm Carla Pereira, 73, and thanks for listening.